In this video, I'm going to show you the best way to improve inanimate dimensions and everything you have to know. Just the most efficient way for you to progress in the game to get the most amount of damage in the shortest amount of time possible. I've tested a lot of things in this game, and today in this video, I've tested just in general how much of a difference does it make if you have a good character, how much of a difference it makes if you get a good thing like accessory, if you get good cards. In general, what has the biggest impact on your damage? Then at the end I also made it so I compared it just in general. If this has this amount of damage, well, how much does it cost? So efficiency as well. So even though this thing that I might recommend you might not give the most amount of damage buff in the beginning, it is the most cost efficient thing. So if you want to progress in the game as fast as possible, this is the video to go through. Also, make sure to subscribe because I spend a lot of time on my videos, and that's why I also haven't made a tier list or anything, because I want to make it as good as possible with a lot of information, just no mistakes or anything. So I don't want to just, oh, this character is better than this character, I think, and then it's not like that. I want it to be pretty facts related, facts based. So I am going to make like accessory tier lists and everything like that, but just not character tier lists because I need more testing about that. That's because characters are really important. If you get a bad character, you might get a character that's worse than the one you currently have, and characters are really expensive, so that's not good. Anyway, subscribe so I can continue making these videos. In any case, first test I did was a base test line. So basically, I had the best gear for Milim, I had Celestial, I had the assist that wasn't partnered just so I could have a better comparison. I basically had meta gear, but just a few things just to make it so more fair. And I played for 1 minute every single time with all of these tests. It's not the most efficient way to do it, but just because I could do it much faster. So it's fair, and this was a baseline. I got 4.1 billion damage, and now let's see how much damage I get if I remove something. So if I remove an accessory, how much damage do I get then? First thing I wanted to see was, what if you had lower level cards? So in this test, I literally just used level 106 cards, which is not good at all. But even if you have level 141 cards instead of level 151 cards, it's a 1.65 times damage difference. So if you level up your cards, you have a 65% more damage buff in general if you just use better cards. So that's something you need to do first, just level up. In this test, I tried both without an accessory at all, and then I tried with the ODM gear, so the best gear accessory if you're not using a divine accessory. And without an accessory, I did 37% worse than with an accessory. So basically, if you have no accessory, if you get a claymore, so the best accessory in the game, you can in theory get about like 58% more damage if you get the claymore. So that's a lot of damage. But even if you get just an ODM gear, that is like 46% better than having no accessory at all. So just getting an accessory gives you like almost 50% more damage than you would without any accessory at all. Assists, I tried first with no assists at all, and it was actually not as bad as expected. It was just 24% worse than with assists, though partner will make that number increase. So if you have no assists and you get like very good assists, the meta assists, you might only get like 33% more damage, which is not that much. And if you have gem assists, they basically don't do anything. If you didn't know, assists basically deal like no damage. It doesn't matter. Use whoever you want to. They literally deal like no more damage. However, if you do have assists that deal extra effects, so like attack bonus such as Saber and Rimuru Awakening, you actually get quite a bit more damage. You get like 10% more damage with them without any assists at all. And that's with good stats. If you have bad stats, it's gonna be more effective. So it could be worth it, but still, that's a lot of gems. That's first to get them and then awaken them. It's a lot of gems you're wasting just to get slightly more damage, in general 10% more damage. It's not the best, and if you can get the best assists, that's still like 21% better than just getting Saber or Rimuru, which is not too hard to get because those are the meta characters that you want to get anyway. Now, when I used no fruits, I dealt 3.1 billion damage, which is 24% worse than just using a fruit. So if you have no fruits, you can, if you get a good fruit, you can actually get 33% more damage, which is with a max Reaper. So basically 33% more damage if you get a max Reaper, instead of none. And if you have a dark pet, so basically an epic pet, you basically don't deal any more damage. Fruits deal like no damage at all. They're even worse than assist damage. They have like no damage, so only fruits that actually deal extra effects, like Phoenix or Reaper, or maybe Robot, because that's a lot of damage. Those are the only good fruits. So if you don't have one of those, it's literally, you don't need to go for fruits, because they help you so little, and it's just, they're so expensive. When I used no pet, that was a big difference. I got 1.4 billion damage, which is not a lot. It's 66% worse than with a pet. I basically did a third of the damage than what I did with Guts. And you can get 3 times more damage, Garo pets. You can get 3 times more damage if you use Garo pets. So it's a huge difference if you have a good pet or not. And even if you have like an epic pet that deals damage, or even like a legendary pet that deals damage, it won't matter that much. Because when I use a Gojo pet, it's 60% better than none. But still, it's like, you can get so much more damage if you use a very good pet. And a very good pet is a pet that decreases your cooldowns. That's a very good pet. Kurumi pet is a mythic pet that you can get with that. And then also Garo is the divine pet that you really want to get. And it's so much better if you have a good pet, and that's something you definitely need to get. Without a trait, I dealt 2.9 billion damage, which is not very good. Well, it's okay. 29% worse than without traits, with Celestial traits. You can, if you have no traits, and then go from no trait to Celestial, you get 41% more damage, which is a lot better than just no traits. But Celestial is really expensive as well. It's really hard to get. So if you even have just a mythical pet traits, it's not that much better. Sure, it might be like 17% more, maybe 20% better, and if you have a legendary trait, maybe just 10% better, or even 5% better. It's not that much. So traits is not something you need to get. You can definitely just get like a quick trait with just trait tokens, because that's something you can get. But getting Celestial will not grant you a very big difference. It's just 41%, which is pretty good for just a trait, but that's just for one character, and it's really expensive, and you can get much better stuff. Then I did a lot of tests with characters. So one of these tests, I just used mouse clicks, and that test, I did 1.7 billion damage. So if I have no character at all, and just mouse click, I got 1.7 billion, and I got 4.1 billion damage with Milim, which is a really good character. So that's only 59% worse. Literally, if you don't have a character at all, you can just from getting a good character, it's not even like 3 times more damage. Well, kind of. We'll get to it. Using Priestess was not good. Well, Priestess without the Awakening, she's not good. Just use M1s, kinda. Kirito, which is a permanent raid character that is very good as an assist as well. He dealt 65% more damage than no character at all. So it's better. It's better. You will get 65% more damage. But just getting a regular limited raid character like Mash, which is better than Mihawk, that's almost as double the damage than no character at all, which is 88% more damage than no character at all, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. But if you use Milim, that's 4 billion, and then you can use characters that are better than Milim, like Kurumi and Guts. Guts is actually 229% better than no character at all, so it's about 3.3 times better than no character at all, but it's not even twice as good as just a regular raid character. It's only 75% better than an average raid character, that is with a Claymore and Garo pets. Without a Garo pet and without Claymore that boosts Guts drastically, it's more equal. So getting Guts, sure, it might be better, it's not that much better. So it's not really worth it. And Kurumi wasn't too good either. He's just 171% better than no character at all, which is it's better than Mash. It's like 50% better than Mash, but still, it's not too good. And if you want to see the low end, I use no gear at all, just cards. Cards for main stats and etc. No good substats on the cards either. And I got 373 million. So if you got no gear at all, then you feel about it's just not good at all. Even if I'm level 151 with mythic cards with a decent character, I deal no damage at all. So getting gear, no matter if you have a good character or a bad character, is really important. I literally can deal 11 times more damage if I just get good gear. Doesn't matter the character, just in general, I can get 11 times more damage if I get better gear. No counting the characters. Then I also tried just using bad cards and bad accessories. So basically I had everything meta, just like before, but I used bad cards and a bad accessory. And then I got 2.4 billion damage. It's so huge. Accessories and cards matter a lot because cards give you main stats and accessories is just really cheap for how much it actually does. A lot of substats and a good main stat as well. And if I don't have a good card and a bad accessory, or if I do have a bad card, or if I use bad cards and bad accessories, I do 41% worse than with good cards and good accessories. It's insane. If I don't have good cards and I don't have a good accessory, I can still get 71% more damage. 71% more damage if I just use a good card and three good cards and a good accessory. It's insane. The last test I did was with Guts. I tested Guts with just bad gear in general. Like average gear, I had bad cards, I had an average accessory, I have a really bad fruit, I have bad basically everything, but I have Guts. So in general, people think just getting Guts is really good. Your damage is really good, which it is. If you have Guts, it's good. But in general, if you have Guts but bad gear, you deal like 3 times less damage, or maybe 4 times less damage than if you have a good character and like a decent character, worse than Guts, and good gear. So that's why Guts isn't always just an instant win. One thing to keep in mind is that stat points and collection actually increase your damage by a lot. These stat points are underestimated because they give you so many substats. These give you so many base substats, and it's insane. Same with upgrades or collection here, and stat points like that. These all are additive to your main thing, so it's not like you get 5% in total. You get 1 plus 1.5 plus 2 plus 5% more critical chance, which is a lot of just substats in general. And substats are actually the thing that matters. Like you saw in the test where I used a bad accessory and bad cards, that was basically just removing all my good substats. Those are the main source of substats, and substats really matter. So get your collection and get your stat points up. And the reason why you need to get mythic cards and level up is because of the main attack. If you see here, this level 10 card is only 110,000 main attack, while this is 124,000. And just using mythic cards but level 106, that's 10 times worse than a level 151 card. So in theory, I should do 10 times more damage, which I kinda did. I did 11 times more damage with these cards though. So really, get your cards up to level 151, get yourself to level 151, and then get mythic cards, because even though they don't have good substats, you get main stats, which is really important. And then you need to get substats. In general, substats come from cards and accessories, but you can also get your base. And one thing that you can easily do to get just better substats, they're passive substats kinda, is having a Astolfo booster with you in a raid. Astolfo is a character you could no longer get, but their third ability increases your whole team's attack by 15% and whole team's critical chance by 10%. So that just gives you, if someone else uses an Astolfo, you will get 15% more attack. Well, as the substat, it's not directly 15% more attack, and then 10% more critical chance. So that's really good. That's easy. You don't have to do anything really. You just have to find someone who has Astolfo and buffs you. And just in general, important things you keep in mind is that try to get a full raid. So if you play solo, you only get what you get. But if you play with other people, per person you get 10% more damage. It's additive, not multiplicative. So if you have 8 players in a raid, you get 70% more damage. So it's quite a lot. It's pretty good. That's more than like having just a celestial trait, or that's really good. That's almost as good as just going from just your average raid character to guts, which is like a huge jump. Just going from solo to full raid, it's amazing. And that's something you already know, so I won't really bother explaining more about it. And staying at full HP is good, especially if you have the things that makes you deal more damage at full HP. Like with the 150,000 points, or the traits, or whatever. And just not dying, because dying just, it makes you not able to attack for 10 seconds. And then if you don't have good assists, so you can play as mains, you have to reset or die again until you go through your main character again. It's at least 30 seconds of cooldown, or of like downtime, where you can't really get damage. So staying at full HP, and just your combo in general. Some people ask in chats on Anno Dungeons, what's the best combo for this character? Is because having the best combo for your own character is something you can just improve your damage with without doing anything really. You just have to know what skills and in what order should I use to get the most amount of damage. It's something that changes a lot with character and just in general stats, so you have to kind of check it out in character testing. It's quick, just play like 30 seconds this combo, 30 seconds, change it up a bit, see which one deals more damage. Oh wow, in 5 minutes you know how to get 10% more damage or something. It's really quick. So now, what should you do to actually get better? Now I've shown you how much different things really impact your gameplay. So what should you do first? Well, first thing, you have to play Dimensions until you're level 151. This is a must. If you don't, you will lose a lot of damage. And if you're only level 131, you lose 65% more of that damage, basically. You need to get level 451. If that's hard, try to get carries. If it's not hard, good for you. And for most people, it is hard. I don't really know why. You don't have to beat the dimension necessarily. You just have to... Each enemy gives you a set amount of EXP, so you just have to kill them. And if you don't have good enough cards to kill them, you can play real quick Infinite. Infinite here. Get to like wave 100, you get 10 cards. Hopefully you get like 3 epic cards or maybe a legendary card. It should be enough for you to actually kill a few enemies. It might take some time, but it's a simulator. It should take some time. If you're level 151 and maxed in a day, it's not really a simulator. And this is a simulator for some reason. It should take some grinding, but in a week, without grinding too much, you should definitely be 151 easily. That's the first thing. And then I actually recommend you, instead of getting a character, which most people do, they get a character, they play raid, they get a character, they say, oh, I got guts, but I don't deal a lot of damage. Wow. Basically, getting guts is not the best thing to do. Because, you see, guts is good. And if you don't have a single character, he's like 3 times better than no character at all. But if you have just a regular raid character, or if you have just a regular gem character that's good, even like Gem Sun Jingwu, guts still like maybe at max 2 times more damage. Sure, 2 times more damage is good. But consider it this way. If you need to get guts, you might need to get pity, which is 37,500 raid tokens. 37,500 raid tokens, you can do so much more than just getting guts. And then after that, you also need to get the awakening to make him even good. And probably need to get the claymore, the accessory, to make him even better. And then you need to get celestial. Then you have guts maxed out. That's too many raid tokens. And it's not efficient. It's good if you want to become late game, end game leaderboard player in the end. Late game, then sure. Go for it, because he is meta. You need him to get meta. But he's not worth it, actually, for the raid tokens. Because you need to, if you have 0 raid tokens now and you go for pity, you need to get more than 1,000 raid tokens every day, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, that's so much. You need to play like 10 hours a day if you're not good enough. So that is not realistic. So that's why I don't recommend getting Guts, even though Guts is really good. Now, if you want good meta stuff, then go for Guts. I won't stop you, it's your account. But for efficiency, if you want to get as good as possible, as fast as possible, then don't get Guts. Get first an accessory. Accessories boost your damage by quite a lot, actually. They boost your damage. Just getting a ODM gear gives you like a 50% more damage increase than having no accessory at all. So getting an accessory, such as the maneuver gear, the ODM gear, is a priority. It's only 1,400 rate tokens, which is really cheap for 50% buff. It might not give you a 50% buff if you don't get good substats, but still it's a really good buff just because of the 15% more boss damage. At worst, it's 15% more damage, but it's probably more than that. So getting an accessory for 1,400 rate tokens for 50% more damage is a steal. Also, once you're level 151, you really want to prioritize getting 3 mythic cards, because that just makes your main stat go up drastically. It's really important. Main stats is what all your substats, all your damage is based off from. So you need to get this. So after you've got an accessory, you probably have played some raids, probably maybe dropped 1 or 2 mythic cards. If you haven't, then you can play some dimensions. You can play, I don't know which one drops. I don't know if these don't drop. Even if it drops a mythic card, it doesn't drop below 51 or 51. You can play some dimensions. 151 dimensions. You can ask other to play and get this. It's really good. Or maybe if you're lucky, you can get this. But ODM gear might even be better. Probably not. It depends. But try to get 3 mythical cards, because it's really important. You can even spend your raid tokens on that if you really need to. But it's probably better to drop them, because you will play raids and you will drop or you will drop cards after a while, so you will get that. But it is priority, so you could actually spend raid tokens on it. It will increase your damage drastically. Now, you don't have to get a very good character, such as Guts, and you don't have to get a lot of assists. Sure, getting a character better than like a Gem Sun Jin Woo is possible. You can get like your average raid character, but I think you can just, while playing raids, you can drop one of these characters, and then after that, Guts will only boost your damage by like 2 times, so it's not worth it anymore. Assists do not actually increase your damage that much. Even if you have Rimuru and Saber, Aiden or Slime, which has awakenings that give you more attack, is not really that good, because it doesn't increase your damage that much, if I'm being honest. And it's really expensive to get those, so you don't have to do that. Any assists work fine, but you could, if you really want to spend your gems on something else, you could actually just get Saber and Rimuru Awakening. That's not a bad idea. They are good assists, and they do increase your damage by like maybe 10%. It's not that much, but it does increase your damage. So that's okay. But you don't need to get assists. You really, really don't need to get assists. And any gem assists are fine. Any gem character is fine, basically, as long as you get like power. Power isn't that great, actually, for beginners, but as long as you get like Sun Jin Woo, Gem Sun Jin Woo, especially if you play the dimension, you can drop him. So that's pretty good. Any fruit is fine, really. If you remember, if you can recall, the fruit didn't really much. Having a max out Reaper only gives you like a 33% more damage buff from having no fruit at all. And having an epic fruit literally doesn't do anything. It's so little damage. So having Phoenix or Reaper or Robot, it is better, but it's too expensive. It's literally too expensive. You shouldn't spend your gems on like that. And same with traits. Traits, they are really good. They are really, really good. And yes, they are good. But they only buff your damage by like at max 50%. But not really that much. It's like probably will buff your damage like 20 to 30% more. So it's not really, really good actually. It's really good, but it's not good for the cost because this is so expensive. Though trade tokens you can definitely spend. Not raid tokens though. Trade tokens spend, raid tokens do not spend them on trades. Now, after you've gotten the cards, you've gotten a decent character, you've got an accessory, I recommend you to now get a pet. Now, if you didn't remember, pet was the biggest factor in damage. That was the thing that made me lose most of my damage. Not having the Garo pet made me lose 4 times of my damage. Well, if I use the Garo pet, I deal 4 times more damage, basically. So going from no pets to just a regular damage pet, that doesn't really matter. What you want is actually a mythic pet. So what you need to be prepared for is after a while you have a decent character, you have mythic cards, level 151, you have an accessory that's pretty good. Now you should definitely focus on getting a mythic pet. I recommend Kurumi, but you can also get the worst mythic pet, which is Aqua, but still Kurumi, if you get Kurumi, she's so good. You're gonna boost your damage by like 2 or 3 times. That's such a big difference. It's so good. And that's why I recommend you getting pets, even though it's expensive. This is still like a 2 to 3 times damage buff, which is Kurumi, and even 4 times if you get Garo. That's big of a difference for 15,000 rate tokens if you go for Pity. Unlike Guts, which is 37,500 rate tokens, and it only buffs your damage by like 2 times. That's why a pet is better, just efficiency-wise. After getting a pet, then you can go for a character. You can get like the best raid character, or even you can even go for Guts. Or like Kurumi. Kurumi is also really good. You don't have to, but that's when I would, because last things you should do is get a fruits. Fruits really did not increase your damage. And after fruits, which is not the last thing actually then, but the last thing actually is a trait. Because now that you have your meta character, now you can roll for traits, and with raid tokens even, try to get Celestial, even though Celestial doesn't really increase your damage that much. It's 41% more damage, which is good, but you're probably going to have like a legendary trait already, or a mythic trait already, which then Celestial is like maybe 10% better only. So that's when you should go for traits. It's really difficult to know when you should get stuff, but now I've actually tested just in general what gives most efficiency. Accessory first, then get cards. After cards, you can probably go for a pet. After pets, go for a character and assists, probably. Go for like character assists or something like that. Get a fruit after that, and lastly get a trait on your character. And then you're basically maxed out. Well, in the meantime, you're doing this, you're probably going to have dropped a lot of things while you're rolling for like Guts, while you're rolling for like Kurumi. You're going to have gotten a better accessory, you've gotten better cards. So that's why you don't really need to focus a lot on cards, you just get 3 cards in the beginning to get your main stats. Then you can go for substats. Once you have everything, the only thing you can improve are substats. So get your best cards like this, get a really good accessory, get really good substats on your pets. That's when you should really focus on substats. You can also do it in the same time, but you don't need to get, if you have bad substats on your accessory, don't just get a new accessory. You don't have to do that. It's first of all not guaranteed that you will get better at substats. Second of all, substats do really matter. Substats can increase your damage. If you have no substats, you can like get 3 times more damage than if you have best substats in the game. But in general, just getting your normal stuff, you will get some good substats. That getting perfect substats will only be like 50% more damage than having mid substats that you're going to get anyway. As long as you have everything else, that's fine. So that's my complete guide on how to get better in animated engines. It's not the guide I used, it's not the way I got to the point where I am, a second best player in the game right now. Because, well, these things were released as I played, so I just got them when they were released. But it's something I believe should be the best thing, because mathematically and just statistics-wise, this should be the most efficient way to get better in animated engines as fast as possible. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.